Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Francisco, game developer, gamer, and soon-to-be dad. Today, I want to talk about something that's been on my mind for a while, the wild ride that is the indie game industry, and how it's slowly but surely taking over the gaming world, while AAA studios seem to be getting a little, well, comfy. You know, it wasn't too long ago that we all looked up to those big AAA games like Grand Theft Auto 5, The Last of Us, and Red Dead Redemption 2. These massive productions with their enormous budgets, shiny graphics, and epic, emotional storylines. But lately, it feels like the AAA industry is kind of, well, slipping on a banana peel and face-planting into a pit of microtransactions and live services. And honestly, it's kind of hilarious. But here's the kicker, while the big studios are tripping over their own feet, indie developers have been sneaking in and delivering some of the most innovative, creative, and downright fun games in recent years. Indie games are rising like an underdog, and it's something I'm all for. So today, let's break it down, let's chat about the indie scene and the whole AAA shebang, and why I think the indie devs might just be the heroes we need in this new era of gaming. First off, let's give some credit where credit's due. AAA games, for all their flaws, do deliver some jaw-dropping visuals, and we can't ignore the sheer scale of these projects. I mean, when you play Red Dead Redemption 2, you're literally walking through a photorealistic cowboy world. It's like stepping into a living, breathing movie set, but with more horses and fewer awkward stares from the crew. It's impressive, right? But here's the problem, the bigger the budget, the more corporate the decision-making. And when you get a bunch of executives looking at spreadsheets rather than players looking at the game, things start to go south. You've probably noticed how a lot of these big titles lately feel a little empty. Sure, they have huge open worlds, but when you spend an hour riding through that world, do you feel like you're really experiencing it? Now, you're just looking at a beautiful landscape with a bunch of not much to do. It's like those rich people who live in giant mansions with endless rooms, and they still don't have time to enjoy any of it. It's got all the space and none of the personality. And don't even get me started on microtransactions and live service nonsense. It's like, hey, you've paid $60 for this game, wanna pay another $40 to unlock the character you already have on your team but for some reason is locked behind a paywall? It's like ordering a burger and then finding out you have to pay extra for the ketchup. It's fine to have extras, but when it starts feeling like the base game is incomplete without you opening your wallet every 5 minutes, it's just not a fun experience. In recent years, many big-budget games have felt like they've been designed for the lowest common denominator. A lot of AAA developers seem more interested in creating a game that looks great for a marketing demo than actually making something fun. They've started overcomplicating things. It's as if they're trying to outdo each other in terms of sheer size, rather than delivering the tight, focused gameplay we actually want. GTA 5 was revolutionary when it dropped, but can we really say the same about games like Cyberpunk 2077 when it came out? Sure, it's got cool mechanics, but you can't deny how broken it was at launch. And don't even get me started on the bugs, cars floating into the air, characters glitching out like they were on some bad acid trip. Now, here comes the fun part, indie games. Yes, the scrappy little developers that could, right? These are the folks working in small teams, sometimes even solo, and pulling off miracles with smaller budgets and more creativity than some of these big studios. And to be honest, they've been making games that are so much more interesting than most AAA releases these days. You've probably heard of some of the big indie hits, Hollow Knight, Celeste, Undertale, and Stardew Valley. These games don't need to break the bank on marketing or design, they need heart. These are games where the developers focus on quality, passion, and a connection with the community, rather than just throwing more money at the problem. And it shows. Take Hollow Knight, for example. That game has been praised to the heavens for its atmosphere, its challenging gameplay, and its beautiful hand-drawn art style. This is a game that doesn't have the multi-million-dollar budget of a Dark Souls, but it delivers a similar level of challenge, complexity, and deep lore. It's a Metroidvania that hits all the right notes. And the best part? It's from an indie studio, Team Cherry. That's right, a small team made one of the best 2D action platformers of all time. And it didn't take an army of overpaid consultants to make it happen. Then there's Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley, the game that made farming cool again. Who knew that running a farm would be so addictive? Stardew tapped into that warm, cozy feeling that we didn't know we needed, and the way it makes you feel like you're building your own little world is magical. The fact that one guy, Eric Barone, created it almost entirely by himself? Absolutely mind-blowing. You can tell it was made with love, care, and dedication. That's the kind of stuff that sticks with players. And it's a far cry from the lifeless cash grabs we sometimes see from AAA developers. Indie games like these show us what's possible when developers put their hearts into their work instead of getting bogged down by corporate expectations. They focus on gameplay first, story second, and graphics third. It's a refreshing change in a world where AAA games sometimes seem more interested in adding microtransactions than creating something memorable. What I love about the indie scene is that it's wildly unpredictable. You've got the big boys doing their thing, releasing sequels and franchises that sometimes feel like cash cows, while indie devs are out here experimenting with new ideas and pushing the boundaries of what games can be. Whether it's a survival horror game like Amnesia, The Dark Descent, or a quirky RPG like Undertale, you just don't know what you're going to get next from an indie dev, and that's exciting. And the beauty of indie games is that they don't have to follow the same rules that the big guys do. While AAA studios are bogged down by budgets, deadlines, and corporate interests, indie devs can take risks, explore unique art styles, and experiment with wild mechanics. They don't need to make something mainstream, they just need to make something that resonates with people. It's that authenticity that you just can't get from a game made by 100 people sitting in a boardroom, trying to figure out how to make another blockbuster. So, what's the future looking like? The AAA industry isn't going anywhere, but it's clear that indie developers are starting to take over. And I think that's awesome. These indie games aren't just diversifying the industry, they're reshaping it. While we might still get those big-budget blockbuster games, it's the indies that are pushing the envelope in ways we've never seen before. But here's the thing, being an indie developer doesn't mean you're working with no resources. The rise of digital platforms like Steam, itch.io, and the PlayStation Indie program has opened the floodgates for small developers to get their games out there. And that's why indie games are thriving. They don't have to rely on traditional publishing models anymore. They can go straight to the people and let the community decide if the game is worth it. In the end, what really matters isn't how much money you throw at a project or how many massive teams you've got behind you, it's about the passion you bring to the game. That's what makes a game great. And while the AAA studios continue to rely on safe bets and sequels, the indie developers are out there trying new things, and that's where the real magic happens. So, to all the indie devs out there, keep doing your thing. You're the ones pushing the industry forward. And to the AAA studios, maybe it's time to take a page from the indie book and remember what games are all about. Alright, that's enough of me rambling for today. I hope you had fun with this one. Drop a comment below, do you think indie games are the future? Or are AAA games still going strong? And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and all that good stuff. I've got more content on the way, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.